Welcome to the I Hate Critics Movie Review Podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. Hey, Jeff.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, as well as can be expected.
Cool. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and all those places that exist online. And I did update the Facebook page for the first time in a while. Things happen. You get distracted, life and stuff and whatnot and so on. Jeff, where can people get your art?
JeffLassiter.com is my website. Jeff Lassiter Pop Cult is my Instagram. All my links are at both places. So if you want to come and look and see what I'm working on right now, I'm doing a Return of the Jedi Special Edition inspired series that I'm just throwing on t-shirts for now until I can make a print of it. Inspired by one of my old prints. So, yeah.
You gonna start doing some Mandalorian and Grogu soon?
Oh, I don't know.
The new trailer just dropped. That's why I asked.
Yeah. And Dave Filoni has managed once again to insert characters from his own animation into live action because we need the universe to keep getting smaller, apparently. That's one of my gripes about Star Wars is that there's no expanding the universe, even though Rian Johnson tried. So
we showed him, though.
Oh, yeah, we showed him. Palpatine has returned somehow. So, which I love Star Wars. I love any Star Wars. I don't care. I'm looking forward to Starfighter next year. Hopefully that doesn't have a single person from the Skywalker saga in it.
Ah, it's a shame because Chewbacca's in it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I know. I have no idea.
So I'm like, well, if you've heard something I haven't, I guess that, See, that would make sense because Chewbacca is very old.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and he apparently lives for centuries, so...
Right.
But, Grogu could be in it, I suppose, because it takes place after The Mandalorian. I don't know. I don't like to hate on Star Wars. That's the thing. And my literally only gripe with quote unquote Disney Star Wars is the fact that all of the series that are coming out are bringing characters from Dave Filoni's Clone Wars or Rebels to live action because he doesn't seem to want to do anything else. And then when we get a series that isn't that way, that does still, however, introduce characters that we've either seen before or come from the books or whatever, people hate it because it's not the Clone Wars Redux. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's just my only gripe. And I wished we hadn't had Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. I wish that we didn't have all of these characters from animation in The Mandalorian. But, what do I know? I'm not getting paid the big bucks. Speaking of big bucks, feel free to join our Patreon. So I can
please. That'd be very nice. Patreon.com and search I Hate Critics and help pay Jeff to go to the movies.
So I can see that more. I can see all the movies that come out every week as opposed to just a couple.
Like me, I see everything, but I'm sentenced and cursed. So this is my burden.
Sometimes I really luck out.
Sometimes, yeah, you've missed out on some things over the time. Let's get into some news. Of course, we've got to address right off the top, and that is that the death of Robert Duvall, a legendary actor, Academy Award winner. I think he was born at 50 years old. He's always looked like Robert Duvall. Somehow, it's eerie when you look back and you're like, is this man? He was born just a little angry old man.
Well, I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird, he was youngish, not like fresh faced or anything, but
it's my
youngish.
point is that he's just so indelible. Is that
Mm,
the look of him? He is just so memorable. You
oh yeah,
can't forget his face.
definitely.
I would see Tender Mercies, of course, is the one he won the Academy Award for, and it's a fascinating case because that movie was dead and buried. It was the studio didn't want anything to do with it, and it was critics actually who really, really loved it, and that's how it made a comeback and actually got into the hands of Academy members because critics were talking about it so much that they were basically forced to do an Academy Award push for it, and that's how he ended up winning Best Actor.
Yeah, he deserved it too. It was really, really good in that movie.
And he's really just incredible and so layered in everything from The Godfather to Apocalypse Now. Even something as trivial as Days of Thunder. He brings so much to that role, even though it's not much of a role, and it's a this mainstream Bruckheimer Simpson blockbuster. But he has so many layers to him that it actually deepens the movie a little bit, as much as you can
Yeah.
deepen that movie.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But he does, he really does. So or did, I guess. Yeah, I looked him up on IMDb and his said, died age 95 and the cause was undisclosed. It's like maybe he was 95. Um, I don't know, maybe that's just when some of us go.
Yeah, that's a long life and a lot of movies. A lot of movies.
Yeah.
One of which actually is fascinating and ironic today because one of the last roles that he really got a lot of awards buzz around was a movie called Get Low, in which he plays an elderly man who knows he's about to die and decides to have his funeral while he's still alive. So he goes to an undertaker played by Bill Murray to plan his funeral, and he wants to be there at his own funeral. And it's very funny in a dark, absurd sort of way, and also very moving the way the whole thing plays out. I believe it's a Lucas Black plays the young character in the movie. He's quite good in it. Bill Murray, and of course Duvall, just absolutely just giving one of the best performances of his career, looking even older than he already did somehow.
Yeah, definitely one of the greatest actors of, that we grew up with. Um, yeah,
So yeah, he passed away, and then of course the Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away today. And now everybody's going, "Well, who's going to be the third? Where's the third celebrity?"
God. I know.
That, we're not talking about
Somebody from
wishful
Home
thinking.
Alone
We're talking
2?
about a curse.
Home Alone 2? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the star of Ghosts Can't Do It. And Bo Derek's already
Oh,
dead, so you know which one I'm talking about.
yeah.
Not Anthony Quinn, the other one. Jesus. I'm the only one who knows anything about Ghosts Can't Do It.
I
Oh my
completely
god.
forgot about Bo Derek dying.
Yeah, that's weird, right? She doesn't seem like that actually happened, but yeah. Um what else? Just nothing much else to say about it. He's just incredible and he'll be missed. And him and Gene Hackman going seemingly within a year of each other are just kind of wild when you think about it.
Yeah.
But it is
Yeah,
that
that
somebody pointed out it's like it's those guys and Robert Redford, and like just this moment right now is so like the era of new Hollywood is truly coming to an end.
yeah, I'm worried about Jack Nicholson now.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we've seen Jack.
Well, he
Well, I believe
retired
he
about
I
10
believe
years
he's
ago, didn't
been
he?
still been going to Lakers games. There'd been a rumor that he had dementia, but that he has been showing up. I believe he's been showing up at Lakers games still. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know that he retired from acting, and that was said to be um because of dementia, but I don't know.
oh, we still have Warren Beatty
Wait,
too. He's still out
Bo
there.
Derek's not dead.
She's not. She might as well be.
No. Wow. Wow. No, she's still alive. I just looked it up. And I'm like, I know John Derek died.
Well, he was like 90, like 20 years ago. So yeah, of course he's
This is
dead.
true. But no, she's apparently still alive. So
Well, ain't that something? We learn something new every day.
yeah, and she's married to John Corbett.
Really?
Yeah,
That's weird.
yeah. They got married in December of 2020.
He's dead though.
Inside. No, I mean, and he's a lot older than I thought. He was born in 1961, which I thought,
Yeah.
I thought he was like closer to this like 70, but no, he was born in 1961. So
Fascinating. We are your
anyway.
just one stop shop for your Corbett news.
Because nobody else cares.
No.
Since there's no plans to resurrect Sex in the City. So
Another thing that happened this week was that Ian McKellen had a little bit of something to say about Hamnet. And this just felt to me, the timing of it felt weird, and the gatekeeping of it just kind of bugged me a little bit. So I put together a piece. It's up on our Facebook page in defense of Hamnet, because he was talking about how I found it very odd, his take on the movie, well, obviously Shakespeare was never inspired by his family. And I'm like, what are you talking about? First of all, you're inspired by many different things. To rule out any one aspect of someone's life as being inspiring to them is silly. Like, I know Ian McKellen is probably the result of many different inspirations of his own. And Shakespeare did have a family, from what we know historically. So he did know that he did have a wife. He was a father. I'm sure that affected him somehow. It's kind of silly to just make a blanket statement that his family was no influence on him. And I understand I'm questioning a Shakespearean scholar here who's, played actual Shakespeare characters. But I mean, that is just such a bizarre criticism to me. And given that we're in the middle of the Oscar season, I'm not trying to say there's a conspiracy of any kind, because I don't know whose side he would be on or who would be asking him to speak out at this point. But it seems weird to come out with this now. It feels almost like a Weinstein ploy to try and take down a potential frontrunner, and that's just weird to me. On top of which, he interpreted Jessie Buckley's character attending that performance of Hamlet at the end of the movie, as her not processing this whole thing emotionally, but her not understanding what a play was. And I'm like, what movie are you watching? You clearly couldn't have been watching this movie, because what she's reacting to is not seeing a play for the first time or not understanding how a play works. She's reacting to finally seeing her husband express the emotions that he's been withholding from her, the feelings and the reaction to their son's death that he's not communicated with her. She's seeing that for the first time via watching Hamlet, via seeing this boy that he's clearly based upon his own son within the universe of this movie. So that's what's making her emotional. She's not like somebody seeing television for the first time and going, "Oh my God, what is this magic before me?"
See, okay, I don't see it as him necessarily doing something calculated to try to bring Hamnet down. I see it as the man's in his 80s and probably didn't even see the movie. He just heard about it and saw that parts of the scene where she goes to see Hamlet and goes from there. I can't see Ian McKellen of all people um like being part of something like that. I think it was more or less it was a ignorance on his part as to what was going on, because I
It
just
still
can't
feels
imagine
weird
he
though.
would have
Like,
seen
why
it.
did it come? Why would it come up? Why would it come up now? Why not when
Because
the
it's
movie came
Oscar
out?
nominated.
But right, why not
Because it's
when the
Oscar
Oscar
nominated.
nominations came out? I mean,
Well,
why wait till now when we're getting closer to the the awards? Why now?
because he was being interviewed now. I mean, I again, I don't
For what?
feel like there's
like, why is Ian McKellen even getting talked to right now? What's he doing? What's he promoting?
Ian McKellen.
I'm saying that most of the time you don't reach out to celebrities for a comment unless you have a reason to be talking to them, or you talk, they've got like a something to promote.
Well, I don't necessarily know that he doesn't have something to promote. He could be doing something on stage or something somewhere, and that's coming up. I really don't. I don't know the context. I just read your very well worded article, and um, I don't know what he was being interviewed for. I'm sure that it was something, or maybe just because somebody had the chance to talk to Ian McKellen, because wouldn't you? Um, and I don't feel like it's a Weinstein kind of um, smear campaign or anything at all, because everybody loves that movie. Um, so yeah, I don't feel like it was like a planned kind of thing. I think it was more of a they were talking to Ian McKellen and they brought it up and he hasn't seen it and just decided he was going to speak on it, and that's all I would ascribe
Look,
to it. Is
I don't know why he decided now was the moment to do this, but as soon as he did, like, the people who don't want Hamnet to win were using him as their brickbat. They were out there taking swings at the movie, using him as their shield for it, and it's just that to me feels just weirdly calculated. That's all I'm saying. It's coincidence. It's most likely a coincidence. You're right, but I just don't like the timing of it. I just don't like just the ugliness that came about after it, whether he was aware of that or not. I'm sure he probably wasn't aware of what was going to come after that. He's probably not very active on Twitter, but the people who emerge in the wake of that to say, yeah, he's right. Just suddenly they feel incredibly disingenuous, and I'm just wondering, like, where have you been all this time?
well, that's them though. That's like
Right, but still, he's the one who kicks it off.
But I think you're ascribing something to him that other people are seizing on that is really more about them. That's just I don't know. I'm not like
He's
Ian
also like
McKellen
a
apologist or anything. I'm just saying, like, I think that he probably said something he didn't put much thought into because, like I said, he's in his 80s, and I don't think he really cares that much about the Academy Awards. But other people, yeah, I'm sure other people are douchebags and picking up on that. So I don't know, but I think everybody should go read your piece on it because it was really, really well written. So
Thank you. It's about the emotional truth. It's about not in and there's that literalism too is also just another one of those things that is very weird coming from the guy who played Gandalf. But nevertheless, it's weird that you would demand literalism here. But okay, uh, art art sometimes is based on emotional truth, and that's from ancient Rome. That's not from like it's not from It's even before Shakespeare. And I'm sure there were many times when Shakespeare tried to. I'm sure Shakespeare told many stories that were based on what he felt was emotionally true, as opposed to trying to recreate history of his time. Um, and it's the disingenuousness of it and the gatekeeping of it that bugs me. And I think that's probably more his motivation is that kind of elderly man gatekeeping, where it's like, I know this thing about this, and I'm the expert on this, and so I shall speak and tell you why this is wrong. And that to me is just, oh God. Like it's one thing if they came out and they said, well, this is a direct adaptation of history. And this is exactly the way it happened. And he goes, well, no, I've actually studied the history here. This is not what happened. Fine. But that's not this movie. That was never this movie. That was never Maggie O'Farrell's book was never that. It was always about the emotional truth of this story and what could have been. Literally, we don't even know what Shakespeare's inspiration was for Hamlet. Like, we literally don't actually have his words saying, this is what I meant by that.
Yeah.
People have ascribed various different motivations to it, but we actually don't know what it was. And that's been something that's been debated for hundreds of years.
I think people like Ian McKellen and people who are not part of contemporary zeitgeist navel gazing, for lack of a better word, like we are, I think they feel like they don't. It feels like they don't really pay attention to the fact that it was a book that was historical fiction, and that it's because I didn't know it was historical fiction until after I saw the movie. I thought this was supposedly based on quote unquote reality, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." It doesn't seem like I've ever heard that before or whatever. But then to hear it was from a historical fiction book that they made the movie of, and I'm like, it didn't change anything for me. I thought it was a beautiful story and beautiful performances, so it didn't change anything for me. But I feel I'm also not invested in Shakespeare whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's basically his life, that and Magneto. So
and Gandalf, don't forget Gandalf.
Well, yeah, I need to get those because I've never actually sat down and watched the trilogy.
They just walk for a while. You're not missing anything.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I'm kidding, Lord of the Rings fans. Jeez.
It's the same plot as Brokeback Mountain. Two guys go up a mountain and destroy a ring. Yeah, I don't. It's not. I don't think it's. I think yes, you can make the argument for gatekeeping, but targeted anti best picture takedown. I don't see it from him. I see him gatekeeping Shakespeare to a certain extent, but I can see it from other people. But yeah, I don't. I
just don't like the timing. I just don't like the timing of it. That bugged me. Still does.
Yeah.
I kind of want to check and see if he's got a producer credit on something, honestly.
Well, you can do that. I'm going to stay out of it because I don't want to start beef with Ian McKellen.
Oh, I got beef. You bring it. Bring it.
Oh, great. The gay mafia is going to come after a show with a gay lead. Oh.
Yeah, so that's something that's up on our Facebook page. If you want to read it for yourself, putting out just a very personal defense of a very, very, very good movie that didn't deserve this kind of dismissive criticism. All right. Speaking of dismissive criticism, I'm kidding. Then we're going to go in depth on what we do. We're going to talk about Crime 101. It's a new movie out this week, starring Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, and Halle Berry. It tells the story of a guy who is a high-end jewelry thief, played by Chris Hemsworth. He might be named Mike. He might be named Davis. We don't know what his real name is. We will find out. But he's a mystery man. And the key to him is that he doesn't hurt anybody on his routes. He doesn't do, he doesn't want to have anybody get hurt. And also he just does not leave evidence behind. And the only person who seems to think he even exists is Mark Ruffalo, Detective Lou, who thinks that he sees a pattern off of the 101 freeway of where particular high-end crimes are taking place. Otherwise, the cops are just, eager to solve each of these cases one by one, as opposed to trying to find a pattern. Caught in this at a certain point is Halle Berry, who ends up as part of the plot because she works for an insurance company that insures high-end clients, rich clients, and she's being pushed out. She's 53 years old in the movie, and they're telling her that she's not, doing the thing that they brought her in for, which is to be sexy and to charm rich elderly men. And so that sets her up kind of on a path to potentially take revenge by teaming up with Hemsworth, who spots her immediately and kind of makes a point of getting to know her so he can get in her ear about a potential plot. Meanwhile, Barry Keoghan is hanging around this plot as another jewel thief who's the complete opposite of Hemsworth, where he's meticulous and tries desperately not to hurt anybody. He just comes barreling into a scene, ready to kill somebody if he has to, and just kind of making a mess wherever he goes. That again, some of this is very familiar. You're spotting a little bit of Michael Mann. You'll spot a little bit of various other thrillers of this type or heist movies of this type. But the thing about this is just there's a little bit of elevation because Bart Layton has paid such great attention to these characters, and he's given his actors so much room to work in this. And the way that he uses each character to reveal more about our main character, I find fascinating. I think Hemsworth is great in this movie because he is doing a lot of really strong movement and reaction to other characters, and those characters' actions are revealing more about him. He's this guy who is growing tired of his job as a high-end thief. He's starting to feel anxiety about people possibly getting hurt or him getting caught. And that is expressed through kind of the way he can't make eye contact with people and his growing sort of anxiety about actually continuing to do this. And I don't think we've ever seen Chris Hemsworth quite like this. He's usually an actor who's so confident in everything that he does. To see him as a guy who is supposed to be supremely confident and having that veneer of Chris Hemsworth, but underneath he's kind of this roiling, growing emotions is really kind of exciting to watch. And I thought I really had a great time with this movie. I loved the level of detail in this movie, and I think Bart Layton really cared about making this movie work.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was my favorite movie of the week because of Chris Hemsworth, I think, and Halle Berry especially. God, Halle Berry could do anything. I don't care. She's just so good. When she finally has when she finally kind of snaps, was one of my favorite moments between two women on screen so far this year. I mean, I know we're only in February, but when she goes and she's like, she just can't take it anymore, and she goes and she tells the new girl that you don't have to do this because, and she's looking at him like all of the stuff that she's saying is 100% true, and Halle Berry just doesn't even stop to like consider it. She just keeps going and going and going, and I really wanted to see her win.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, how are we gonna get her without having to go to prison? How are any of these people not going to go to prison? Even Mark Ruffalo, because he was working outside of his badge, that kind of stuff. It was like, it was just it had the, I know it's by Don Winslow and he's a pretty talented writer, this type of stuff, but it really reminded me of a lot of Elmore Leonard stuff. And parts of it were a less talky Jackie Brown, that heist. How are they going to pull this off? And I was super tired and I didn't drift off once, which is really rare for me. We've talked about that a lot, but yeah, I was engaged the whole time and I just couldn't. This was not a movie I was necessarily looking forward to because it's not something I would voluntarily just go see without the show probably until it was streaming. But yeah, I was fully on board from about 5 minutes in. once he commits that first heist, and finds out that he's actually bled
Mm.
at the scene, I was like, oh shit, okay, now let's go.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
they flipped a switch on a timer, and like the rest of the movie is like on that
yeah.
timer from when he might get found out. This movie has just a great deal of respect for the audience intelligence as well. I
Mhm.
know I've seen this scene before where like the super smart whether he's a sniper, killer, or heist guy, he does that thing where he scrapes off all the excess skin and hair off his body. I think
Mhm.
Michael Fassbender did that in The Killer, and it seems to be something that a lot of filmmakers are doing. But I thought he did it here just as a way to go to tell the audience, like, I know how aware everyone is of these true crime tropes about the DNA. Like, we're all much smarter than whether we wanted to be or not. We're all much smarter than we were in the pre-internet era, because most of the people who go see a crime thriller now have also watched episodes of CSI, or they read Kathy Reichs. They know that a little hair from the top of his head could be the thing that gets him caught, or just a little bit of DNA anywhere, a fingerprint could get him caught. And so that attention to detail showed that he cares to try and keep you engaged and help you understand how this works. And that's so much harder to do in this day and age when you have all the technology that we have, with all the various cameras, and of course the advancements in DNA. Like I said, all that is available to police now, and uh, it makes this kind of thriller harder to do. That's why so many directors check it out and just say, "We're going to set this in the '80s or the '90s," so we don't have all of this technology to try and work around, because I just don't have the time to write around that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the shorthand of that first scene where he's, rubbing out his hair to get rid of the dandruff, and, you know, plucking and blotting and everything. That was just, that's all we needed to know, is that this guy is super meticulous and he's never been caught. He's done this dozens of times. So I thought the way they handled it was really quick and
and
easy. So
And to be fair, to I guess the more prurient side of things, it's Chris Hemsworth, in his underwear, and I'm sure there's a part of that that's also like, we do this, it kind of makes the movie a little sexy.
yeah, I mean, he could have done a couple scenes and I would have been fine.
Like, that stuff is calculated whether we like it or not, and it does add to, like, the overall effect. There is an eroticism to basically anyone who's that attractive, and it's up to a movie how it chooses to acknowledge that. There weren't going to be any sex scenes in this movie, so that is one way to acknowledge that. And also, just how handsome he is and how attractive he is also part of the package, because a guy like that, who is that good looking, isn't supposed to have so much inner turmoil. And I thought Hemsworth did a great job of being somebody who was just barely concealing all of the sort of building emotions that he's rarely had before, and expressed via the job that Nick Nolte has given him that he doesn't really want to do, and then his relationship with is it Barbaro, Monica Barbaro?
Yeah, yeah,
Sh this girl that he meets, who, runs into the back of his car, and they have this very awkward encounter. He asks her out to dinner, and he begins to form his first relationship outside the criminal world. And I thought she was just so incredibly well used. Her performance is good too, but in terms of just inventing a character that could provide another window into this guy, is just smart plotting. It's just a great way to give him more people to feed us information through without having to do a whole lot of expository dialogue. He doesn't like sit down with a therapist and go, "Oh man, this is wrong with me, and then there's this, and then there's this wrong with me, and I can't seem to handle this anymore." And it's like, no, you see it just in the kind of way he can't make eye contact with her, because he knows he has to lie to her and keep her at a little bit of a distance until he gets to that next heist. It's really, really well done.
hmm yeah, yeah. I, there's not like a note that's wrong in this, really. Um, you get to see the corruption of the LAPD on full display. with just a few lines the from Lou's superior. You get to see like the dysfunction of Lou's marriage just in one scene where he's sitting down to pee, and Jennifer Jason Leigh like shames him for it.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, they're that kind of couple, okay, and then she breaks it off with him in the middle of the movie, and I really wanted to be like more critical of it because, like I said, it's not something I was dying to see, but it's definitely my favorite movie of the week because of how pitch perfect everybody was in it. So,
Yeah, and I mean, have every little thing, and this is not a perfect movie. I'm praising it a lot.
no,
You're
no.
praising it a lot. It's not a perfect movie. There are issues, I'm sure. Like maybe it's a little over long. I think somebody pointed out
Mhm.
there are a couple of things that you could probably cut. You know, Tate Donovan is probably a little bit overbearing as the rich guy, playing the same Tate Donovan character he's played for the last 30 years. But those are minor things that I don't care about when a movie cares this much about his characters. Like I'm saying with Corey Hawkins' character, the way he's employed as this bridge between the corrupt side of the LAPD and the sort of purity of Lou is a great piece of casting. You have this character he's an actor who's well known, who you recognize and you trust, but also at the same time, can he be fully trusted? Is he a good cop? Most part, yes, he is, but will he break down at the moment? It's a really interesting thing. And for such a small character to have that much thought put into him just shows you the level of
Yeah,
attention to detail that Bart Layton took to this story.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, you're getting me to root for a cop, so I mean, no,
Yeah,
I
this is an ACAB podcast, so I mean that's really hard.
I again like I just thought Halle Berry was just she had that turn in the middle that just kind of you knew was coming. There's no way it couldn't have come.
Mhm.
But when when you see it on her face when she's in that meeting and you're like, yep, this is her turning point, and she just freaks out. And also, can I just say, like I've said on the podcast before that Barry Keoghan is ugly hot. He's just repellent now. It's just like so hard to watch. And I don't know if it was the character or if it was the fact that at the premiere he looked like one of those like the claymation people from the Rankin and Bass Christmas specials or what. But yeah, I couldn't wait for him to get killed in this movie. I was just like, come on. When they were doing the chase, which was a very, really well done chase scene,
Mhm.
I was just hoping that he was going to splatter all over the place because he's just so gross in this movie.
Yeah, something about that dye job that they did on him is so bad that
Mhm.
fits the character perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again,
Barry Keoghan
just
is not somebody who needs to have blonde hair ever.
th- it's just such a simple thing though. Like again, where you're putting him and his very like the jumpsuit that he wears that doesn't look like it's been washed in months. His stupid little motorcycle opposite the clean, crisp suits and the perfectly chiseled jaw of Chris Hemsworth. Like that is a great piece. It's so simple because most movies try to do this. When you have characters that you're trying to communicate how complex they are, you create a character that's their exact opposite to demonstrate that. That's not. I'm praising Bart Layton a lot for this, but this is not a new thing. This is what good movies do. He just did it really well here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I really liked this. This was my favorite movie of the week for, you know, many reasons.
yeah, mine as well. Mine as well. And I actually had some competition that you didn't because you didn't get to see what's it called? I forgot the name of the Sam Rockwell movie. Good Luck, Have
Yeah.
Fun,
Have
Don't
fun.
Die,
Yeah.
which is a terrific sci-fi comedy. A guy comes from the future to try and stop someone from inventing AI. It happens to be a 9-year-old boy who's going to invent the perfect AI that will eventually lead to the destruction of the future. And he's come back in either invented time travel specifically so he can come back to this one point in time and stop this kid, or not stop him, but at least try and create an AI that would not hate people and maybe delay the end of humanity for a little while. So it's not even about stopping it. It's just about maybe trying to slow it down, which gives the movie an extra edge. But he's got to find the right combination of people in this one specific diner to pull this off. He's done this 100 and some odd times before, keeps going back in time and watching people get just absolutely murdered along the way by for various different reasons until he can find the right combination. And he finally does with Haley Lou Richardson, Juno Temple, Michael Pena, and Zazie Beetz, and just such a great cast. They're having such a great time. And Sam Rockwell is just incredible in this movie. He's so fucking good. And the Gore Verbinski's very strong stand against AI is really it just puts it over the top, because this is a very ethical movie in that way. He does not like AI. And he doesn't want it to be part of art. And he specifically makes AI the absolute villain of this movie to make sure that you understand where he's coming from. And that stance, it goes a long way with me, on top of this just being a really, really good movie. And not the kind of movie I expect from Gore Verbinski at this point in his career, because at this time, he's the guy who directed Pirates of the Caribbean, the franchise, and he tried to make the Lone Ranger franchise. You'd figure that's who he is now, is the blockbuster director. And he's taken, I think, like a $12 or $13 million budget and made a kind of a grungy, almost indie mainstream movie out of it that was also like anti-corporate AI, which is like, wow, you you did this? That's great, man. Well, welcome to the fight, sir.
I mean, it's fine with me because I'm also anti AI used for art.
We're anti-AI. This is an anti-AI podcast, so can't stand that shit. Somebody put up a thing, like they made a scene from Spider-Man, and they were so proud of it. They're just so proud of this AI Spider-Man they created. And this brilliant guy on Twitter, Zach Morrison, he basically put it to the test. All right, you want to be a filmmaker? I'm going to review your piece. And then he broke down piece by piece everything that was wrong with this piece of shit. And from the camera positions to the edits to the lack of dialogue to what is this supposed to mean? Why was the camera here? What's moving Spider-Man around the scene? Like, these AI artists think they can just type in a fucking prompt and it'll make it an entire movie, and AI doesn't understand where the camera is supposed to go, or what a scene is supposed to look like, or why a particular color matters to a particular moment. It's like going to LA, but the sky is slate gray for some reason, like it's Seattle.
Yeah.
Like you have to understand that the environments that all this shit matters, and those are the only things that a human being can think of. AI will never be able to think of those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when they do something that's even remotely like representative of something, they freak out and like, oh my god, actors are cooked. And I'm just like, okay, well, you got two actors with different shadows on their faces. They have no, they look like they're pasted in, because they probably were pasted in. And it's the death of art.
Absolutely, because
there's no. Go ahead.
Art is intentional. Art has an intent behind it. It has a specific purpose that it's looking to achieve. When you paint something, you choose the colors that you choose very specifically. And I'm sorry, just telling AI to paint a picture of Darth Vader, that's nothing. He's okay. It's black and maybe that's it. Like, it looks like the guy in the movie. Great. But where's the shading? Where's the movement? Where's the thing that indicates, he's looking at something or he's communicating in some way?
Yeah. Yeah,
Take a photo
I
wherever you are right now, and you'll see that the photo taken by a human being has a very specific perspective. If it's a movie poster, even just a still image has a very specific perspective that is very human. Because it was taken by a human who has captured a moment of humanity. AI cannot and will not ever do that.
yeah. Yeah, that AI has no point of view. Um, there's nothing that it's, you can say do something in the do do Robert Duvall in a movie directed by George Lucas, and they wouldn't spit out THX 1138. Tell you that right now. They would put it in Star Wars or something that he would not be in.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just say, "Oh, we've already done that movie and it's called THX 1138." It would be, well, here is Robert Duvall as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or hell, even Luke Skywalker. You know, it's just it doesn't have any imagination, and it relies on like the lowest common denominator, and it just fucking pisses me off. There are things that we could use AI for. Do my taxes. Okay,
Mhm.
here's your taxes.
Yeah.
But not to take anything away from accountants, but if somebody's doing their taxes at home, they're not going to an accountant anyway. But sorry, Bob. Um, but I like if they were doing stuff like that, then I don't think people would have that big of a problem with AI. But it's the fact that I turned on Facebook last week for my 1 15-minute session a day that I'm trying to keep it to, and half of the people that I love have these fucking caricatures of themselves that just look like the same exact person on every single one of them. And it sucked so bad. And I was muting people, and I'm like, okay, if I come back and they're sharing more AI art, then I'm unfriending them.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. So
AI it can be a tool. Like I'm thinking, like if I were an editor and I had existing footage that had been shot by a human being, and I put it into an AI program and said, "Hey, put this in a particular order for me," and then I go through it and replace it where I want to place it. You can use AI to cut around, the time it would take to specifically splice in a piece of a film. Like it might be able to create a timeline for you faster than a
yeah.
human being could. But you don't even need AI for that. I'm sure there's probably a program for editing that already exists for that. But I'm saying, like, that's the kind of thing you can do, because it's not replacing the editor. You still have the editor there going, nope, this needs to go here. But
Yeah.
I'm saying that's the kind of tool that it can be, that it could aid people. Or, give me what time of day will the sun be at this particular point where I need it to be for my shot? Great question for
Mhm.
AI. AI might be able to give you a good answer on that.
Well,
That's
and
the tool
that,
that
like,
it is. It's not the artist. It is just a tool for the artist perhaps to use in some way.
and something that I don't, because I when I search something online, I do not look at the AI description because I just don't trust it. And somebody was pointing out on social media the other day that they were googling something, and it the AI overview that came up was completely wrong and was giving them information that they knew to be demonstrably false, as if it was just, here it is. So yeah, I don't trust it at all.
No, and one thing you can learn about AI and doing research, like if you I find many things that are on newspapers.com, and then if you put those things into AI to say, hey, can you do a deeper dive research on this? They'll go, oh, that doesn't exist. I'm like, well, I'm
Mhm.
reading it in a newspaper right now. So yes, it does exist.
Yeah, there was a company that I was looking up some ancestry stuff on my dad's side, and it was like, this person is the first in their bloodline, and I was like, no, they didn't just crawl out of the swamp. They had parents. So yeah, it's just so stupid. So
Yeah. it's not, it can't replace art. And the people who think it can, that think they can make art with AI, you're just wrong. And just stop. We don't want your garbage. Go away.
Yeah.
Go away. I want another Have Fun, Don't Die. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, because that's a movie made by people who care and delivered performances. And Gore Verbinski has a vision that he's trying to get across, that AI is terrible, and he's right. And he's also funny while being right. So there you go. And he's got Sam Rockwell, who's incredible while he does that. I still think Crime 101 is the better movie of the weekend, but it is, I mean, I highly recommend Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, because it's a terrific movie. It is so good, and everybody in it is good. I wish I could say that about Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights is, of course, based on the Emily Bronte novel, and it's directed by Fennell, who did Promising Young Woman and Saltburn. Stars Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie as the characters that are pretty well known from that novel, Catherine and Heathcliff. And in Emerald Fennell's conception of Wuthering Heights, she sees this as, I guess, 50 Shades of Grey meets like a Shakespearean tragedy that has a score by Charlie XCX, which I think is a fascinating vision. I find that to be an incredibly interesting vision. I don't see it as what Wuthering Heights is, because I did read the book in high school, whether I wanted to or not. And I found it miserable at the time, and I still do, but nevertheless, she finds it pretty miserable too, because all of the characters in this movie are fucking miserable. They're terrible human beings. Catherine's father brings home this kid that he said was being abused in the street. He brought him home to kind of prove that he's a good person, even though he was really just did it because he's very drunk and had nothing better to do. He's sort of replaced the brother character that's in the book. The father now sticks around as a character, as opposed to she just doesn't have a brother. She's given Heathcliff sort of as a pet in this movie, and she gives him his name. And that's the only name he has is Heathcliff. And they grow up together, and she's seemingly ignorant a lot of the time that he's completely dedicated to her. But I mean, why wouldn't she be? He doesn't really communicate very well. He can't read, and he doesn't speak well. He's also he's just super antisocial and not a very interesting human being. So I get it. I do understand that she would overlook his affection. By the time she does realize that there's something there, she's already met somebody else who's much nicer and has better prospects than him. He leaves, he runs away to become a millionaire and to better himself, and good for him, but he comes back only bent on just being cruel and torturous and fucking. Of course, don't forget, they're going to fuck a lot. And this is not a movie with, there's not a lot of nudity. I really don't think there is any nudity in this movie, but there's a lot of fucking and a lot of eroticism, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't understand where it's coming from in this movie.
Yeah.
Because these characters don't have a lot that would communicate that they have even an attraction for each other. They're both so hateful. She's selfish and self-involved, and kind of living for the high life, and he's bent on vengeance and getting revenge on everybody, and to the point where he takes one of these characters, this Ward character, and that is a member of the Linton family essentially, and just corrupts her to the point where he's got her chained to a wall like a dog.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting interpretation. Yes. She also has that same character. She has Heathcliff say to her that, I'm not going to love you. I'm not going to treat you well. I'm not going to be nice to you. I'm going to be rough. I'm going to be cruel. And he makes her say yes to all of that simply because he's hot. And
yeah.
That's the only motivation for her, is that she's she's almost just out of childhood, basically. And it's very sexy that this older man is telling her exactly what he's going to do to her. Which, again, if that's your fantasy, to have Jacob Elordi tell you what he's going to do to you, and it's all garbage that he's going to do, but you're okay with it, hey, that's you. be into what you're into. That's fine. Um, Coded, this character is incredibly naive. She's barely met a man who isn't a member of a family. So I mean, it's it's weird in this context for her to be treated this way, and I just did not care for that. I didn't care for much of this except that Emerald Fennell has an amazing eye. This movie is gorgeous. The costumes are amazing. The sets are incredible. They're uncanny because like some of this stuff probably couldn't exist in this time frame, but
Yeah.
but it's so beautiful that the uncanny nature of it didn't bother me at all. I was riveted by that. If I could turn, if I could turn off the dialogue and just listen to Charlie XCX and these beautiful images, I'd kind of be into this. But I have to listen to these assholes talk and be cruel and mean to each other and then fuck. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this does not appeal to me.
It's like she turned Wuthering Heights into Sulphur. She's making
Yeah.
movies about houses, and that's like I just one particular scene really bothered me, and it's when they introduce her to her bedroom, and her walls are basically skin, and they're made to look like her skin with a
Yeah.
beauty mark and everything. And I was just like, that's really fucking gross. And it just kind of reiterated how gross I thought this movie was overall.
Why would
Like,
anyone
don't get me
find
wrong.
that appealing?
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. This movie is one of the most beautiful movies I've seen visually
Mhm.
in a while. The cinematography is perfect. The costuming, even though it's completely wrong for the period, is beautiful,
Mhm.
gorgeous. Um, some of the dresses that she wears, Margot Robbie's character Kathy wears, are perfection, right? But that my quibbles, like I didn't particularly love the book. I thought it would be was terrible, and it was just generational trauma after generational trauma. Um, Heathcliff is not a tall, white presenting dude. Everybody, because people who are defending his casting are saying, "Well, Jacob Elordi is not. He's not white." I'm like, I don't care, but he presents as white. He uses white privilege, and
Yeah.
I think Emerald Fennell is just so enamored of him that she's used him. She used him in Saltburn to a much better effect.
Mhm.
He was such a better fit for that movie than he was for here. Um, I Margot Robbie is gorgeous. I thought that, I don't mean to like, but she just seemed a little older, and I
Mhm.
and I don't say like because she's old. I'm saying because she's been in so much stuff that her playing a teenager just didn't sit with me. Um, and she just comes along as a little too worldly for somebody like
Yeah.
Kathy, who is, she's never really left her home or seen the world at all. So that, Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff, she's smitten with him because he's her pet, which is also gross.
Right.
Um, and then, uh, she goes to the Linton household and sees Edgar, and because he's clean and rich, okay, well, that's what I'm going to be with now. And she just seems a little too worldly for that. Um, so that she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, and she fits in all these costumes perfectly with her beauty. But it just this whole thing felt off, and I know that you know it's not the story. It they This could have been called something else and just been inspired by Wuthering Heights. And I know that
Mhm.
she tried to kind of backtrack a little bit and say that in some interviews. Emerald Fennell did, and that's why the poster has the quotation marks around it, because it's not quite Wuthering Heights, but it's in the vein of it. I'm like, just make a different movie then. Call it something else and say it's inspired by Wuthering Heights. Um, this again stops about halfway through the book when Kathy dies. Spoiler alert for a 250-year-old novel. Um, and And it worries me that she's going to make a part two.
She is?
And no, I mean it worries
Oh,
me that she will.
okay.
Not that I
I
know
was
she's
like,
going to,
what?
but it makes me like say please don't. I talked to somebody in the theater and I was like, I hope they don't. I hope she's not setting this up for a sequel with the kids and
Yeah.
like in the book um and I just I wanted to like it as its own thing. And as far as the visuals, it is gorgeous. It is beautiful. You should cut a version of this to Kate Bush's Wuthering Heights song and make a video out of it. It would have been a beautiful music video, even a longer form music video, but it's not really Wuthering Heights. Um, I also did not like the fact that because we have stripped Heathcliff of his possible ethnicity, that we make the meanest character into an Asian woman. You
Yeah,
know,
that was
Nellie is
strange.
not, yeah, Nellie is, she's not that terrible. And they turn her into the villain of the movie. Why? I don't know. You know, she has all these scenes where she must play like she's pretending to be so nice and she's just so evil on the inside. And Margot Robbie is completely blameless in everything. You know, just like, ah,
Even though she's not playing it that way. She's playing it like, the she wants to be the bratty, character that people know. Because she's selfish, she's
yeah.
rude, she can be cruel and just withdraw affection in a moment's notice. Like she's not a good person. And that is from Bronte's book, is that's who Elizabeth is kind of that selfish, bratty, self-involved person. And you can see Margot Robbie trying to play that character, but it goes against what Emerald Fennell is trying to do. She wants to soften these characters a little bit, keep them attractive enough because she does want them to fuck a lot. And
I'm
there's a lot
honestly
of
surprised that Jacob Elordi did not drink her bathwater.
Though I can imagine a post-credit scene where he's fucking her grave.
No.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
no,
probably.
the repeated like sticky, uh, gross imagery, like
Hmm.
it was weird to me. It was very odd. There's a thing about eggs that comes up twice where they each like run their fingers through eggs. Like it's so erotic that there are broken eggs on the bed. Or they're eggs. That's really gross, actually. It's like super. Or she
Yeah.
like sticks her finger into the mouth of a fish at one point, as if her finger's a penis, and I'm like, what? What? Why? Then there's a slug on a window that's leaving a trail, and as she focuses heavily on that, and it looks like somebody just splooged on a window, and I'm like, again, is this supposed to be erotic? Erotic? There's also a lot of squishy
Yeah.
sound effects. And anytime somebody's touching something, it's always very squishy. And I get what you're doing, but at the same time, like I think you're indulging your fetishes a little bit too much, maybe, and not
Yeah.
necessarily communicating with the audience something that is sort of more universally sexy.
Yeah.
Like
It
I'm
was not.
just a go ahead.
No, I was just saying it is not. It's not an adaptation, save for the names of the characters, and it just seems like she could have done a movie set here that was much sexier. But I feel like even though she did not turn it into an actual adaptation of Wuthering Heights, she feels constrained by calling it Wuthering Heights. And these characters, if it hadn't been that, this could have been such a better movie. I don't know.
Yeah. uh, just to go back to Crime 101 for a moment, that scene of Chris Hemsworth in his underwear doing his thing, wiping himself down, like that is a very subtle eroticism, whereas this is just, it's so blatant and in your face that it loses the effect.
Yeah.
Which she has said this is more about sadomasochism, but then if it is, there's not, they're still like fucking each other because they claim to, they're just obsessively in love with each other. And I guess the sadomasochism is sort of emotional in that way because they can't be together, or they're choosing not to be
Mhm.
together. But they're also bringing that on themselves. They don't need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
none of that needs to happen. They're making these choices specifically, so I don't really care that they're hurting each other and hurting
Right.
themselves. You chose this for you. It doesn't make them. It doesn't make them good characters. Um, and also the Wuthering Heights, calling it Wuthering Heights, making this like you, not only have has she constrained herself to, making something that is in line with Wuthering Heights that people are aware of, but she's also created an expectation in the audience, regardless of the things that she's been saying publicly in an interview. If I'm going to see a movie called Wuthering Heights, I expect to see Wuthering Heights. Like I'm expecting to
Yeah.
see an adaptation of an Emily Bronte story. Like that's not, you know, if you go to Star Wars, you don't expect to see Indiana Jones. Like it's not the same thing. Those are two different, divergent things, and that's why they're not called the same thing or set in the same universe. Uh,
Yeah.
if you wanted to make something that's not Wuthering Heights, then don't make a Wuthering Heights movie. She made Wuthering Heights, and people are going, okay, well, this isn't Wuthering Heights, so I'm kind of upset about this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's
Uh,
there's never been a theatrical, like, true adaptation. There's been I guess a couple miniseries, and there's one from 2019 that was fairly faithful, but everybody seemed to hate it. So it's like, how do you make this movie out of this book, or do you just leave it alone? Because it just seems so torturous.
I find even the original book, and again, I think she's an incredible writer. I'm not trying to take anything away from Emily Bronte, but it's just this particular book is so miserable that I don't
Hmm.
think you can make something that works as a universal art form, like a movie.
Yeah.
It's so specific to whoever is reading it, how you react to the various levels of, you know, anger, revenge, sadness, masochism involved. It's very personal. Your reaction, and Emerald Fennell is coming from a very personal place, her own personal reaction to reading Wuthering Heights. And this movie kind of forgets that literally everybody who's ever read this has had their own experience of this book that makes it much more difficult to try and create a universal version of this that people are going to enjoy. I think she did the best possible job that she could making her version of Wuthering Heights, but she also created her own limitations and problems via the choices that she made. Again, I
Yeah.
love Emerald Fennell. I think from a visual standpoint, she's made an absolute goddamn masterpiece. Just from the cinematography, costumes, and sets alone, it's utterly gorgeous to look at from frame to frame. Um, I just disagree with pretty much every choice she made in terms of the story, in terms of how she had these characters portrayed. Even if I weren't, and I'm not even really myself tied to to the book. I don't really care about that book because I'm not a fan of that book. I think it's fucking miserable. I
Yeah.
think it's a miserable read, and so I know I'm coming at it from a more of a movie perspective, and from the movie perspective, it's. I just didn't care for the choices that she made with these characters. I don't like these characters, and I don't want to ever see them again. I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave halfway through because I think these characters sucked so much.
Yeah, I kept thinking that same thing. I kept thinking, you know what? I don't need to watch this. Why did I do it? Because of the show.
Yeah, this damn
You're
show.
welcome, America. No, I stayed because I was like, okay, well, are they how much of the movie or how much of the book are they going to get into? And it's like, oh, she died, so it's already 2 hours in. So why are we not 3.5 hour movie? Yeah, just again, Margot Robbie, gorgeous. Jacob Elordi, okay. The sets, gorgeous. The cinematography, amazing. The costumes, amazing. The story was terrible.
Like I'm still incredibly eager to see what Emerald Fennell does next. I think I love directors who take big chances. This is a big
Mhm.
swing. She took a big swing at this. Even though I don't care for it, I can see where other people might. And I can also
Mhm.
see just from just if you just stopped at the visuals and just chose like to just enjoy the visual splendor of this. Like I think I gave this in my review 2.5 stars out of 5 because like I
Mhm.
do respect so much of the filmmaking involved and I'm eager to see what she does next because she takes big chances and I love that. This is just one of those chances that just didn't work out for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our classic is Wuthering Heights again. And this was actually a great idea, Jeff. I'm making fun, but that's a great. It was a great idea because this is actually a perfect sort of counterpoint. It's William Wyler directing with Laurence Olivier playing the role of Heathcliff and Merle Oberon playing the role of Elizabeth, and
Kathy.
much like Catholic, sorry, but uh, again, it's an interpretation of Wuthering Heights that is not intended to fully match the book. It's telling, the specific parts of the story that it wants to tell. And what Wyler does with this story, he's essentially doing kind of a similar take to what Emerald Fennell is doing. Is that he wants to soften these characters. He wants to make them less miserable. He wants to communicate the motivations that each of them have and how those motivations affect their choices and could make them, mean or bordering on cruel or evil. But he also wants them to remain human beings in a movie that you can not hate. I guess is the main thing. Uh, Sir Laurence Olivier's character, like his take on this character on Heathcliff, is much softened compared to what Elordi does. Elordi lays out like the dialogue wise, she has him just lay out his entire like level of anger and cruelty and ugliness and all the various emotions that he feels. He says pretty much everything that he feels without holding anything back. Olivier, on the other hand, says very little and communicates everything via a look or a glance or a gesture. You can sense his discomfort, you can sense his anger, but he doesn't come out and say, "I'm angry because she won't be with me." It's like
Yeah.
there's the complete like the repressive sort of Englishness of this is what really makes this one better because they're not telling you how they feel every minute of every moment. They're not explaining to you why they feel the way they feel. They're communicating it in other ways via their actions and their choices, which is kind of more of how the traditional movie works. Uh, Honestly, this was tough because this movie made me hate the story of the modern Wuthering Heights that much more because not that I love this movie, I don't love this movie. I think it's very much of its time. It's incredibly broad and has that sort of stagey quality to it that doesn't change until the 1960s. And that to me can be kind of very soap opera to me. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
melodramatic in delivery and performance. But but moving that aside and understanding the time and the style of acting of the time, I don't I can forgive that. Um, I just don't think there's much depth to it. Overall, without the overall story of what Emily Bronte wrote, because again, they're not going to get into. They don't even get into her being pregnant. Like she doesn't even have a child in this movie.
Yeah.
And by the end, she just gets very sick and passes away, as opposed to dying because she got pregnant and had got sepsis. Um, the so they've removed so much of that movie that part of Wuthering Heights that it almost doesn't feel like again much like the modern one. It doesn't feel like Wuthering Heights really, other than the character of Heathcliff.
Right. Right. Yeah. I gotta say, I was a little Wuthering Heights out by the time I got to the end of this one, um, because I watched it in quick succession with the new one and was able to really kind of compare and contrast them and how much closer the newer one is to this than it is to the source material.
Mhm.
And I felt like, Emerald Fennell liked this movie, this particular version of this movie, and decided to remake that, but hornier. Um, because again, you have a white lead playing someone of darker extract.
Yeah, he's
Um,
also like it's black and white, but he did actually like darken his skin as well, so he's kind of
yeah, he
playing a
did a little
little
bit
bit of
of brown
blackface.
face.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
meanwhile, Merle Oberon is actually part Asian, which is
I know.
just like weirdly ironic.
Maybe Hong Chow should have played Kathy in the new one.
Well, it's the
You
weird thing about the new one. We didn't even mention the fact that Linton himself is, sort of a Middle Eastern South Asian actor, and
yeah,
like how that alone kind of reflects poorly on Heathcliff, because Linton's the one who shouldn't be where he is, considering the time frame. You'd figure he would be the one who'd be held back by circumstance, as opposed to the handsome, tall white guy.
yeah, yeah.
It's just another reflection of the emptiness of that particular aspect of it. And I understand that's not what her intent was. She's not racist. I'm not canceling Emerald Fennell. I'm saying that the casting choice on the other side of that was weird, and it also just further called attention to what she did wrong.
I feel like it was based. She cast the movie on who she wanted to fuck the most.
Which, if she would just say that, come out and say that,
Yeah,
Emerald, that would solve all of your problems.
she could be just like, look at him. Don't you want to fuck him too?
I really just wanted to watch Jacob Elordi fuck Margot Robbie. I mean, that's a universal thing. We'd all enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Like, if she was
yeah.
just honest about it in that way, it would solve a lot of the problems. But she's also playing the game of, this is my interpretation of the work of art, and it sounds
Mhm.
pretentious.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Without going and watching a bunch of the different um, TV miniseries versions of this, I don't think there's a way that this story could be adapted into a single movie, um, especially with the intergenerational relationships and the long, long, long form revenge that takes place in the book. I just think you reach a point where it's almost unadaptable as
Mhm.
a single movie. So, and neither
Like,
one of
there's,
these
oh
really
gosh,
got to where they should have to be called Wuthering Heights.
I'm trying to think of something here. A silent filmmaker did the guy who did Sunrise from, I think it's 1919. And his name is escaping me at the moment, but that guy made a Sunrise, which is a fucking, like, it feels like it's 4 hours long, but it's engrossing, and it's a silent
Mm-hmm.
film, which makes it that much more amazing. But he's telling this multi-generational story at a time when he doesn't even have dialogue to help him tell that story, and it's engrossing, and it's like, maybe that guy could have made this movie. Maybe if you took like Brady Corbett's next movie, I believe, isn't it going to be like 4 hours long? What is what he said? Like, maybe
God.
if you primed the audience, though, and you said, this is how long this is going to be, and this is the story that we're telling, maybe that's the only way you could approach this to make it work as a film, is to say, we're going to indulge the full breadth of this story, as opposed to trying to make it a star vehicle. Because, I mean, if you try and make this a star vehicle with Margot Robbie, you can't kill her 20 pages into the book. Like, that
Right.
character dies early on while pregnant, and Heathcliff lives for many years after, just torturing everyone around him. And that's the real story here, is that he spends decades of his life longing for this dead woman, haunted by her memory, and using that to torture everyone around him just because he can.
Wireman.
Heathcliff, the first incel.
Oh,
I bought the
Yeah,
place where you work just so I could fire you.
right.
Like
This is
that's the
like,
incel energy we're talking about here. Is that if an incel actually had that much power.
yeah, yeah,
Bronte, when she wrote, like, she had a very like negative opinion of humanity. She didn't like
hmm
people very much, as you can tell from reading Wuthering Heights. She doesn't create a character here that you're supposed to like. Everyone in the book is described as an awful person, from Lockwood to Nellie to everybody. Is just not a good person.
yeah,
They're doing things specifically very selfishly and for their own aims, and for revenge, or to humiliate somebody, or to lord something over someone. And that's, in and of itself, as she wrote it, it's kind of brilliantly written. At the same time, that's not a very appealing thing for a movie. When you have no
yeah,
characters that you can relate to or like or care about. Like, this isn't a love story in my mind. I don't see Wuthering Heights and look, oh man, that's one of the most amazing love stories of all time. No, 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 no. Heathcliff is a monster, and she's not much better.
yeah. It is. It's a revenge story. It's not, and that, and if she had written it as a revenge thriller,
Mhm.
God, that would have been something I would have been more engaged with.
Like a seduce and destroy story. Make it that.
hmm
Make it a man who's come back to use the various powers that he has from his powerful, charismatic sexuality to destroy her, not fall in love with her. Because she wants it to be a love story. And what we know of Heathcliff, even in the movie, he may love her, but it's fully toxic. Just fully
Yeah.
toxic. He has no frame of reference for how to love someone based on the way he grew up. He has no frame of reference for what it is
hmm
to be a partner to somebody. And so that's when you have him become this character who leaves and goes off and makes something of himself and becomes a rich man. He's returning specifically to take that out, to lord that over her, to harm her with it. For her to go, I'm in love with him still. Like, based on what? Based on what?
Right.
What do you? He's not even the same guy anymore.
Yeah.
He's clean. I guess he cleaned up a bit. He looks like Jacob Elordi does now. So I guess I understand the desire to fuck him. I don't understand the desire to love him in any way.
Yeah. And I barely
And
understand the
it would make
wanting to fuck him.
perfect sense. As a seduce and destroy story, it would make perfect sense because he could overwhelm her into thinking that she's in love with him and then go to Linton and say, I've been fucking your wife this whole time.
Yeah.
And just fully destroy both of them in one fell swoop. That's a far more interesting motivation for him.
hmm Yeah. Completely. It's just it. The movie it has no point when you get to the fact that it's adapted from this book that was really, in my opinion, long and meandering and mean spirited to get a movie that's long and meandering and mean spirited, but without the point of the book.
Yeah.
Um, so
Weirdly, what movie kind of reminds me of a Wuthering Heights, like the real story of Wuthering Heights, about terrible characters being terrible to each other and setting each other up to be, like, one of them specifically manipulating everything to create a form of revenge and torture. It's Old Boy.
Cruel Intentions. Oh,
Old Boy.
oh, yeah,
I know it's weird in comparison, but the way that man sets up a 20-year revenge and culminates with a reveal that is the most devastating reveal possible. Like, that to me feels more like something along the lines of what Bronte is going for, is just this devastating, like, level of obsession with revenge and getting something over on someone, that even though he dies and doesn't even get to see it happen, he knows already that his revenge has already taken place and lives off of that, like, vile, acidic, success in his mind, even as he's killed by the protagonist. That's tragic. That's revenge. That is nasty and bold and different. And I think that's kind of where somebody, if you want to make a Wuthering Heights, that's more the energy you need.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Emerald. We didn't like the movie.
No, but you're an incredible director, and please do not stop making movies because you're going to make another great movie soon. Because she's too talented not to.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still like. I feel like the one-two punch of Promising Young Woman and Saltburn, even though Saltburn was very, very divisive,
Mm,
I personally love both of them, and
yeah,
I'm disappointed that I didn't love this one.
I go back and forth on how I feel about Saltburn all the time. All the time. There's so much of it I love, and so much of it that is off-putting, like, kind of
Yeah,
making me almost, like, kinda wanna bring back my lunch a little bit sometimes when I think about it, but, again, that's a movie that also kind of has the similar sort of old boy energy of somebody who is enacting a plan to destroy someone for so long. That's a seduce and destroy story when you break it
yeah,
down in the end, because he seduces an entire family and destroys them.
yeah. Back before Barry Keoghan was completely repellent.
Back before he stopped showering, apparently.
Yes,
Next
back before.
week, it's a weird week next week, because I there are 3 new movies and I've never heard of any of them, which is weird for me. We've got How to Make a Killing with Glenn Powell. I didn't know Glenn Powell had a new movie coming out. This is just
Nope.
completely out of nowhere to me.
I
I
saw
have
the
no
poster at
idea.
the theater the other day.
Really, I have no idea what it's about or who he plays or who else. I think Margot Qualley's also in it. That's
Yeah.
pretty much the research that I did, like, and just a half hour before the show started. Like, that's how I found out about this movie. Midwinter Break is, I think I've heard of this one because they've been putting together some screenings for this for critics. They're trying to really get critics out to see it. It's uh, a romance for older people who are coming to a part in their relationship where, like, they've been together for so long that they might end up getting divorced, even though they've loved each other for years. Interesting idea. I'm not opposed to that. That could be good. And a movie called Psycho Killer that I really just don't know anything about.
Never heard of it until I looked at the what's coming up to try to pick a classic. Midwinter Break, I've seen the trailers for a couple times. It looks like they had a secret that they've been pressing down for years, and
Like, one of them
having.
cheated.
Yeah, I think that might be the open secret in their marriage. I think that might be what it's about. But yeah, I didn't really know much about How to Make a Killing until I read the synopsis today. Um, and Psycho Killer, I didn't even know was coming out. So
Weird week. Weird week.
yeah.
How are you going to come up with a classic for this?
Had before I joined the show, have you guys ever done the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
No, no,
We're gonna do
no.
that then. I just as a palate cleanser because yeah, I
All
was
right.
looking through some of my movies and I'm like, you know what? I haven't watched that in a long time. Let's watch that.
I'm perfectly all right with that. I had a different idea because I
Oh,
watched a movie this week that I thought I'd seen before and I'd never seen it before, called Crimes of Passion.
oh yeah, with Kathleen Turner.
Yeah,
Huh.
that movie's incredible. That's one of the best
Right.
movies I've ever seen, honestly. Like, I was blown away by how incredible that movie is.
Huh. Well,
It was have you when was the last time you saw that?
oh, the 80s
I
when
feel
when
like
it
you've
came out
quoted
on
it to me
HBO.
before. Have you quoted that movie to me before?
I don't think so.
Because there's a line in there that, like, I mean, immediately, I swear to God, Jeff must have said this to me at some point. Because Kathleen Turner is talking to Anthony Perkins, and she says, "I never forget a face, especially one I've sat on." It's one of the best lines, like, in a movie ever, and it's just, oh God, I loved it so much. Just really such a surprising, unique, and wild fucking movie that, yeah, I was gonna suggest that one, but I'm fine with Body Snatchers. If that's what we wanna go with, Body Snatchers is totally cool.
Actually, no, let's do Crimes of Passion because I just went to my Blu-ray shelf and realized that I own it, but
Oh,
I've never
nice.
opened it.
Really?
I must have gotten it during the Arrow sale. So yeah, so it's Crimes of Passion then.
Yeah. Movies of the 80s just published a piece on it that I contributed to that you can read on Movies of the 80s on Substack if you want to check that out. So that's why I was watching it, because it came out in 1984, and that's where we are in the timeline, is in 1984. So,
Okay.
and yeah, it's also a perfect counterpoint to it's like the kind of honest sleaze that I wanted from Emerald Fennell that felt like I didn't get. And
Maybe she could
you know,
remake this.
we were comparing it to Blame It on Rio, the Michael Caine movie from '84, because
Yeah.
that movie's such trash. They went to court to get the 17-year-old star of the movie to be able to be naked in the movie, which I find to be just the grossest story, one of the grossest stories in Hollywood history. They went to court specifically so they could get permission to have her be naked in the movie because she's 17 and that's what the law said they had to do. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
But the movie pretends that that it's not sleazy, because this is the director singing in the rain. This isn't sleaze. We're not making a male fantasy. Yes, you are. Yeah, you are. You're lying to me. Whereas Ken Russell doesn't lie for a second. He's making a sleazy, sexy, gross movie that is in your fucking face. And there's no pretense whatsoever. And I love that. It reveals everything about people who try to pretend that they're not putting their fetish on screen.
Didn't he direct Debbie Reynolds at 17 and Singing in the Rain?
I don't know how old Debbie Reynolds was at that time. I know she didn't have the best time on that movie.
Yeah, I feel like
Stanley
she was
Donen.
like always.
Stanley Donen also went on to even though he says this wasn't like him professing his fantasy of younger women, he went on to marry a woman who's 30 some odd years younger than him 5 years after the movie.
Oh, cool.
So it kind of reveals the lie a little bit. You're kind of full of shit, maybe. Which I know he spent the rest of his life with Elaine May. I know that. I'm aware of his history. I know who he is. But that doesn't change the fact that he was a dirty old man who couldn't admit that he was a dirty old man. Just admit it. Just be honest with me. That's all I'm asking. Just be honest. Emerald Fennell, just be honest. You wanted to watch Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie fuck.
I mean, you know.
It's okay. We would all be on board with you.
Can you, like, how do you get from Singing in the Rain to one of the last things you ever directed was Lionel Richie dancing on a ceiling?
Yeah, his career went in a weird direction. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he also directed Charade. Like, he's an amazing director.
Yeah.
And but he was also apparently at times just a terrible person. But then, as I said, he was also spent the rest of his life with Elaine May, who's a fucking, improbable genius. So he had taste.
I met her.
And she's age appropriate to him as well.
Did I ever tell you I met Elaine May?
No, he didn't. Was it cool?
Yeah. I went, it was after I moved back to Chicago from New York. I went back and I decided to see a few plays. And one of the plays that I saw was the Waverly Gallery with Elaine May as one of the stars. And Lucas Hedges and Joan Allen. And I met after the show. They come out, do the stage door thing. And it was a matinee performance, and she had to go, but she did stop and shake hands and just, greeted everybody, and it was really sweet. And then Lucas Hedges was great. And then I walked down the street with Joan Allen, told her how much Chicago missed her and how much she missed Chicago. So yeah.
Very wholesome story to end on.
I know. All right. Next week, not so wholesome then. Crimes of Passion for this classic.
Yeah, watch it. Watch it for next show so you can be part of the conversation as well, and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. Jeff, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night.